Now, not everyone has to go to see Michael. He's got 2 excellent colleagues trained, and there's getting to be a lot of people doing a very good job at this. But if you're thinking about round number 2 or 3, I would only go there, quite simply. You want somebody that knows what they're up to. Now, there will be other expertise. I met a brilliant young neurosurgeon in Buffalo, New York, Dr. Siddiqui. He's also doing a study. There's about 5 or 6 major randomized prospective double-blind controlled trials underway now. Okay? We should be doing them in Canada. There's no reason we shouldn't be starting in Canada, because it teaches your people, gets them good at how to do them. They could do the people that have trouble traveling. I feel very badly for my sisters, especially sisters, because there's more of them with MS. It's now 4 to 1. Used to be 2 to 1. And also my brothers that have trouble traveling, because it's not easy. I was lucky enough to be well enough, and so it was straightforward for me. I took my sister to the same facility 3 months later. She's now over a month since. She had exactly the same 3 blockages I did. We are starting to figure out, and Sandra didn't mention, but her son has also had CCSVI diagnosed and treated. He had benign fasciculations. Okay, those are things that you get the twitches like we do in MS, but they didn't have anything else to diagnose, so we didn't have full-blown MS. However, he had exactly the same lesions, different than mine, different than my sister's, but the same 3 lesions that his mom had. We're going to find more of this. There's clues in your family history and in your veins. And I think we're going to find that the veins that we have problems with, sometimes they're in our legs, sometimes they're in our neck. But it's a bit, and I would not be surprised, a lot of the genetic predisposition that happens with MS is vein similarities. The other piece that's changed, and it's from research, I've got it on a couple of slides later, but I'll get to it right now. What's the incidence in the regular population? What's the incidence in folks with MS? Okay, so the studies have come out a little bit varied, but it's partly how the studies were done. But the key thing about it is, if you look at it in a population completely unrelated to MS, they did a study, CT scans that were done on people in Detroit. Dr. Hakey did this. CT scan is a very aggressive procedure. There's a ton of radiation, okay? And they found the incidence of CCSVI in the regular population that were studied for another reason completely, 7.5%. That is 1/3 of what most of the studies have been saying as to what normals were. And you know why? Because most of those normals that were done in the other studies were MS family. We're not quite as likely to be normal if we're in an MS family as far as our CCSVI. Okay? So, CCSVI is absolutely, MS is the current poster child. It's not the only issue. So, we've talked about the 3 veins. The data is still strongest that we're probably born with this. It takes a while to develop. I want the ones who are youngest to listen up the most. That's nothing personal, Shara, but you've got the most to learn and to gain. If you struggle with this slow stroke for 20 and 40 years, your chances of an absolute overnight recovery are tiny. They're going to take a lot of rehab. I applaud Dave for going at it, because that's the right thing to do. You can never give up on the rehab. That's why I'm so grateful to have this is the best MS Society region in Canada as far as rehabilitation facilities, and has been forever. It's always been a strong mandate here. And I give them every credit for that. But we need all the help we can get with our rehab. There's some 75,000 of us in Canada. We've got quite a backlog of people to treat and quite a long backlog of people to rehabilitate. So that's going to take a while. If we turned the switch tomorrow and every interventional radiologist in Canada, I think there's 88 of them, started doing this procedure, it would take us 10 years to get through the backlog. That's a lot of people, all right? But we're started, so that's the good thing. We just got to get started here. Okay, the veins, for those of you who aren't familiar, you can see right at the top, the bigger ones in the middle are the internal jugular veins, all right? They drain a large part of the head and neck. Beside them, slightly smaller, are the so-called external jugular veins. Each of these drain the whole head and neck area. A lot of people have complimented me in the last 3 months, I must have got a lot of sun. I haven't got any sun hardly at all. But my blood flow is huge in my face now. My wife, Denise, noticed it the next day. Things are pinker. I look much better. And as was wisely described to me, you know, Todd's been in his job as executive director a number of years of the MS Society. He admitted, many of us with MS are pale like ghosts. It's blood flow, folks. There's other problems happen. The young fellow in California, that's Devin Hubbard, who has a neurologist father and an occupational therapist mother who lit a fire under the father, and he gets it now, and he's a big proponent of CCSVI and MS. He can't get over how much hair he's growing, and mine's coming forward some, hard to believe, but true. And also how much better his mouth is. I just finished 2 weeks travel in Europe. Usually when I travel, I don't get quite as good care of my teeth, and they hurt, because I've got gum disease. But it's going away. And I've heard the similar report from a couple of other people. I'm happy to see one of my very good friends who's a dentist here tonight. This is going to change the folks with gum disease. Not all of them, but gum health and teeth health is critical. It's 8 or 9 years of life improvement with good dental health. And I know mine's better now. Why have things always healed so well in the face and in the mouth? Circulation, okay? And that is supplied back through the external jugular vein. Because if you get back pressure through 2 or 3 of those major veins, the others have to pick up the slack, all right? So they end up flowing under higher pressures, and you get relative back pressure through the whole system, and you don't get the flow in the blood supply and the oxygen supply. The harder one to see is the azygos vein. It's the one with the whole ladder type effect on each side. On the patient up there, their right or your left, you'll see the ladder going down, which is the azygos vein, all right? It means gooseneck, is what azygos actually means in the Greek term. And the arch of the gooseneck is where 70% of us with CCSVI have a valve there that's usually not working well. That's the 3rd place I had a balloon done. Now they did my jugulars, they did them with large balloons. And somebody already very well addressed it. You feel like your neck has been kicked for about a month. And why do you feel that? You feel that because they used a large balloon. And if they used a large balloon, they've got a much better chance of having disrupted your valves. These valves, in this case, are not flowing. They're doing you more harm than good. They use the same balloons now that they use in opening up the heart valve, the mitral valve, which we, used to open up with a thumb. Even in my day of practicing cardiac anesthesia in the early 80s, there was a guy still using his finger appropriately in the mitral valve, but we've moved forward now. We use pretty stiff, firm balloons. And they use them at 16, 18, and 22 millimeters. You're going to see a 22 millimeter later tonight.